For those of you who've wondered why I don't just get any part-time job, that's not out of the question. Getting a job is actually relatively easy. The problem is paying your bills. I hate talking politics and I hate talking economy, but I can't get a job paying more than $30 an hour at best doing what I do. It seems like all of our wages are depressed. It's frustrating. I'm not above working a remedial job or a remedial wage for a remedial job, but I can't afford to work full-time, giving up 8 hours a day and earning $40,000 to $50,000 a year. I know $30 an hour is about 60. So after taxes, that's just not that much money. That's no longer a livable wage. So if I'm going to go back into the work sector 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, that's a lot of time to give up. So unless my dream job shows up and pays whatever the minimum wage is to actually live where I grew up, I can't afford to do it. So I've been self-employed for like 15 years, more than 15 years, technically speaking. I got into this doing warranty repair for Dell, doing house calls. And now I'm feeling kind of stuck. And the other side effect is people don't know what to do with me. I'm either a rock star or a dud because I'm self-employed. Management doesn't know what to do with that. Maybe they assume that we're all smart and apt to take the jobs of other management. Maybe they're afraid that we won't show up on time. Maybe they're afraid we aren't good management, or as an employee, we'd be bad with management and be very head-to-head and disagreeable when management wants to go one way. And we, with our business acumen, want to give our 2 cents. That's just, it slows everything down. So if someone sees the benefit of hiring someone who's been self-employed for a long time, that's the other problem. Most people that are self-employed and then give up after a few years. If I give up now, it's been like 15. That's a cultural change. Now, I took jobs up in Portland. Getting those jobs was not difficult because I interview well. And I told a little bit about my story and that I wanted to get out of LA. But those were temporary options, and none of the 4 jobs I had up there over the course of a year were, I mean, the first job potentially could have paid well, but they lied about the territory. The other 3, well, 2 of them were temporary jobs that only lasted a couple weeks. The final job I got was through a work agency. And that job was only paying $20 an hour as a network technician. I literally could not afford to stick around. That job was worth twice what I was getting paid for the number 2 car manufacturer on the planet. How the heck am I supposed to live on 40 grand a year? So I was a temp. Everyone there loved me. There was a chance I would have been full-time, but I don't know what the full-time guys were making. I don't think they were making 80. The problem is the MSP that handles that company's IT is overhead. The employee doesn't get to take advantage of a full benefit income. The MSP, which stands for Managed Service Provider, is the company that takes the IT work away from, in this case, Toyota, so that they don't have to deal with that side of the management. Frankly, that takes away a lot of pay from a lot of skilled individuals, and all it really is added paperwork and overhead. Don't you think the technicians and the engineers if you would give them their doubled pay, they would be a better employee. They'd feel better about showing up on time and doing hard work. I don't know what's going to click, or if in some way the MSP actually saves money, because I understand there's if you want to get rid of an employee you don't like, you tell the MSP you don't like them. The MSP can put them on another project, or if they're a real loser, they get fired. But a lot of times, finding the kind of job I'm qualified for is going through an agency or an MSP. MSPs are great for small companies that can't warrant hiring someone like me full time. The problem is when you do have a large company that can afford to pay someone full time, but they choose not to, because it's either trying to separate us from a legal liability, or it's in some way more affordable. But I don't know how it's actually that much more affordable when you're still paying tens of thousands of dollars a month to an MSP. The MSP that was hiring me through an agency, which was added overhead, the MSP is just a bunch of overhead. So the traffic just totally sidetracked my thought. The MSP is really just a bunch of overhead. I don't know how it saves a huge company money. So I can't just go get a full-time job making 20 bucks an hour. It's giving up too much. It sounds like I'm highfalutin, and I think I'm worth a whole lot more with a whole lot less effort. It doesn't make sense. If I'm going to go full-time, I need to be making a livable wage, which unfortunately means 6 figures. I grew up in a reasonably expensive neighborhood. Wasn't raised on 6 figures. We rented an apartment with roommates. So, but I have a technical skill set. I need to be earning a wage I can live on. So if I'm going to give up 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, I know what that number is in my head. I do occasionally take jobs or apply to jobs that seem sort of interesting, that are close by, but I can't be driving 30 miles. So many people are willing to drive 20 miles or more. Between the wear and the tear, between the gas, between the time on the road, between the taxes after your income, it doesn't make sense to me. So, for those of you out there wondering why this guy with all his hair on his face, as soon as I get an interview, I clean up. I put my hair in a ponytail. I shave this face off. So for any of you guys watching, of course he can't get a job. He doesn't know how to show up to an interview. I look pretty. When I do an interview, I cut the facial hair off. I pull the hair back. So that's not the issue either. So I interview well. And when I get the interview, I generally get the job. Like 75% of the time. I'm articulate. And I do kind of pull punches. There's certain things you just don't want to say in an interview that might intimidate. Ooh, you know a lot. But anyway, that's really what I'm thinking right now. I want a job, or I'm willing to take a full-time job, but it has to be payable. Livable, I'm sorry, not payable. So either I get a full-time job making 6 figures, low 6 figures. I know my skill set's worth between 80 and 120, unless you make me management, which I'm confident I could be good management. But I either go that route, or I double down and get serious about growing my own little hole-in-the-wall sole proprietorship. So I don't think I mentioned this on the prior couple videos, but I actually I had an email about one of these meetings for business owners or business people or executives or anyone who was trying to do that sort of networking. And it was actually very positive. One of my clients was there, and he had hired me, I don't know, more than 5 times. and we chatted each other up. I met 10, 15 people, gave out that number of business cards. So that's one of my efforts. Of that email showed up in my inbox. I don't even remember how I got to my inbox, because I don't usually apply to stuff like that. But I took that as a sign, get off of your butt, go do something. So I did that last night. I do need to shave. My nose hair, my facial hair is making my face itch. So I did that, and I gave away a good 10 to 15 business cards. So I'm thinking, if I can't get the job I really want full time, I'm just gonna have to double down. Working through an MSP, you're just making the guy that owns the MSP rich. So that's just a little bit more about what I'm thinking. I do encourage you to say hi in the chat, or not the chat, the comments, because I want some ideas. If you're more successful than I, or maybe you've been in my situation, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye.